Hello, and welcome to More Than Books. We know it's been a busy summer and fall for everyone, but we want to share with you some of what's been going on in and around here at the Southfield Public Library. On today's show, we go all the way back to May for our annual Weatherfest, held here in conjunction with WPIV Channel 4. It was a summer of music, and the Kimmy Horn Jazz Festival was held here on the lawns near the library, but she performed inside the library a month before that. Don McGee, producer of the library's Jazz and Blues at the Library series, is excited about the schedule of concerts for this fall. And there's a new children's play area, the Discovery area. And finally, the whale sculpture has found a home. All that today on More Than Books. The local forecasters, the National Weather Service, and the Southfield Public Library teamed up to bring Weatherfest back to Metro Detroit. It was an opportunity to talk and learn about severe weather preparedness. There were lots of opportunities for kids and adults to experience cool activities. Kids could step into a tornado simulator and experience what it would be like to be in a house that was hit by a twister.
So as air starts to gather, we'll get going.
There we go. Here we go.
You notice how it didn't happen just like that, right?
What we're doing today is talking about severe weather preparedness, because you never know what the weather is going to bring. This hour could be nice, bright and sunny. Next hour, thunderstorm is rolling through. What do you do to be prepared for not only yourself, your family, your pets, your house? All of these things you need to know about ahead of time, because you can't do it on the fly. You have to prepare ahead of time, and that's what today is talking about. How to make sure your pets are safe, how to make sure you have enough vegetation so you don't have runoff going into your basement. It goes, and not into the sewers either. You want it going back into the land. How to be ready when a tornado comes. What's the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning? You're going to find that all out here today at Weatherfest. We've got a whole community out here today. We've got the Oakland County Water Resources, we've got the Michigan Humane Society, we've got Channel 4 WDIV, we've got the National Weather Service, NOAA, the Southfield Fire Department, the Southfield Police Department, Oakland County Homeland Security, Southfield Emergency Management. It takes a whole community to put this together, because no one person is ready for everything, so it takes a community to get everybody ready.
You could play the Young Meteorologist game, which takes kids through what a tornado is and where to seek shelter. You could even learn about flash floods.
It's, what we talk about at dinner time and in the mornings with each other, because it affects every single person. And climate change is real. It's happening. How do we prepare for it? How do we mitigate against it? These are things you can find out today about at Weatherfest. You want to find out books of what to do for severe weather preparedness? We'll turn you on to books, movies, DVDs, online videos, and online resources to help you out if you can't make it today. Also check out our pictures on Facebook, and you'll see what you missed, and make sure to mark it on your calendar for next year, because it's an annual event.
Andrew Arnold is with the National Weather Service. That's the group you hear on TV and radio in times of serious weather.
So I'm a meteorologist. I work for the National Weather Service here. So we provide a lot of the watches, warnings, and advisories that you get through your phone, media, TV, NOAA weather radios. So we provide those watches, warnings, and advisories. Yeah, so we're starting to enter spring now. So we get thunderstorms around this time of year. So that involves severe thunderstorms that can produce hail, strong winds, and occasionally tornadoes. So what causes that is a lot of times you need moisture. So a lot of times the moisture comes from the Gulf of Mexico, and you get low pressure systems that move through. And when you get that kind of, those ingredients together, where you get a source of lift, like a front or a warm front and a low pressure system, and moisture, you can get thunderstorms that way. So sometimes around the springtime, you get these low pressure systems that'll come through and cause severe thunderstorms. So the Great Lakes can be very effective to our weather. They provide a source of moisture, but in the wintertime, you can also get lake effect snow that comes off of these. So you don't get these without having some big body of water. So in the wintertime, you get cold air that moves over these warm, relatively warm waters, and you can get lake effect snow that sets, lake effect snow bands that set up and affect parts of Michigan. Here in the springtime, it's always good to be prepared. So safety and preparedness is something that we preach with the National Weather Service constantly. So when it comes to tornadoes, it's always good to be on the interior room of your house. You want to put as many walls between you and the damaging tornado or strong winds as possible. So the interior room of a house is a safe place to go. An even better place is the basement. Right now, we've had a lot of water over the last several months and years, and the Great Lakes have been able to fill up, and there's not been any evaporation out of them. So right now, there's problems when you have really high lake levels, especially along western Lake Erie or Lake Huron and even Lake St. Clair right now, to where if you get east winds that can kind of push that water on shore, if they're strong enough, they'll cause problems along the shoreline. So there's a typical pattern that sets up where if the low pressure system comes in and there's north winds or east winds, those high lake levels can cause problems when they start to build up along the shoreline. So you get high wave action that comes through and they can spill over some of the waterways. So it's something to pay attention to if you live near any of these lakes. The wetlands usually absorb a lot of that water, right? So when a lot of plazas get built, a lot of concrete can go up in these urban areas. So when the rain falls onto the concrete, it has less absorption, and it typically runs off downstream. It runs downhill into the nearest river or creek or lake. So whenever you are near that, it's good to make sure you're not in any sort of floodplains. So if you live along a river, you know, for a homeowner yourself, if you live next to a plaza that maybe doesn't have a retention pond, or you're near a river that typically sees a lot of runoff, it's just good to know what sort of floodplain you may live in. So if you're searching for homes or something, just make sure, you know, in recent years or the last several years, you're not in any sort of floodplain. It's always good to have some sort of safety plan when it comes to severe weather. So, you know, even in the wintertime, it's good to have a preparedness plan in place for when severe weather or winter weather does strike. So, you know, when storms come around, know where the safest place in your home is going to be and how quickly to get there. It's also good to have multiple ways to receive weather warnings. So via your phone or the internet or TV or radio. We also have the NOAA All Hazards radio. That's going to be your quickest way to get our warnings, because that'll make a loud noise and beep at you when we issue one of those warnings. So having those in your place of home or business or school is a great thing to be prepared with.
Tell you what, the bottom line is, I love snow days when I was a kid. I grew up in the DC area, so 1 inch of snow, they closed the schools down right away. I love snow days, so I love weather. And when I was in school and it wasn't a snow day, I enjoyed math and science. So weather, math, science, those three things put together is what meteorology is all about. WeatherFest 2019 is absolutely spectacular because it brings the community to one gathering place, students especially, and it teaches them about weather, the environment, and the impact it can have, and the impact they can have on the weather or their environment to make it better for everybody. Careers include being a broadcast meteorologist like myself, but there are plenty of other meteorologists, environmental scientists, other mathematicians and scientists who work off camera to make sure that we have clean water, that we have healthy air, and that we take care of the environment, and that we pay attention to the weather. Not only when it's good, so we can get to school on time, get to work on time, but when the weather becomes dangerous, when it becomes severe. So it's better to stay inside rather than go outside, and so we can take care of ourselves and our family and loved ones. You know, that's one of the great things about WeatherFest as well. Not only is it a great teaching tool about weather itself, but the unique weather, the unique environment that the state of Michigan and Southeast Michigan that they have. Michigan is very unique because of the influence from the Great Lakes. Michigan's wonderful, just like DC or many other places in North America. We get to experience all 4 seasons, all the great weather it has to offer, and some of the more serious weather that it has to offer. I mean, my job 99% of the time is doing weather on television. It's just me with my coworkers inside the studio where I don't get to see the audience. But events like this where I actually get to press the flesh, say hello to folks who are watching, actually meet people in person, it really brings it home to me. because I discovered another passion I developed was actually helping people. So noticing the impact that I and my news team have when it comes to broadcasting the weather, helping them out, making the world a better place, it gives me a huge amount of joy. WeatherFest 2019 is the best place to be if you want to learn more about the environment and what you can do to keep it healthy and safe.
This summer saw the 50th anniversary of the NASA Apollo 11 moon landing. Where were you when this history-making event took place? Recently, the library sponsored a 50th anniversary Apollo 11 party, where residents could revisit the event and experience it in a new and different way.
So we're doing the 50th anniversary party for the Apollo 11 moon landing, which was this week, and we have, we got astronaut food and space ice cream, and we have virtual reality headsets set up with virtual tours of the landing site on the moon. So, and then we have the Space Invaders arcade machine, the classic. Over here we have the selfie station. You can take pictures of yourself standing next to the moon with our nice backdrop that our outreach department made. And we have the live stream, well, former live stream playing. It's the full footage of the landing, 3 hours long, of the Apollo 11 landing. Over here is the virtual reality headsets. We have virtual tours of the landing site, the Apollo 11 landing site, and you can click on different things that were there and get information about them and take a tour.
The library is packed with all kinds of media from the Apollo 11 moon landing. There are plenty of books, audio and videos, and access to many websites if you want to find out more about the United States aerospace programs.
Probably about 2 feet lower than the right rear foot pad, and the left front's a little low too.
These are some of my favorite actors, but I'm a big music fan too. It was a summer of music all over Southfield, and it really started rolling when Kimmy Horn made an appearance here at the library ahead of the Kimmy Horn Jazz Festival.
Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. And little man, little Lola wants you. Make up your mind to have no regret. Recline yourself, resign yourself, you're through. I always get what I aim for.
Kimmy is a big fan of the Southfield Library and has only good things to say about Southfield. And like Lola, she often gets what she wants, like new library hours.
We just came to have some fun today. I'm telling you, I know that it's all kinds of things that we're celebrating. One of the reasons that we're here because of the new library hours. I'm still always crossing my fingers for early Monday opening, but yeah, we're just gonna keep on crossing what'd you say? Take what we can get, right? I know that's right, a little bit at a time. But that's how you do it though, you just keep on pushing, a little bit at a time. That's how you do in life, right? I know that's how you gotta do it. Watch, next week, the library will be open, Monday at 9 o'clock. I'm kidding, let me not put the pressure on I see you back there. I want to thank the Southfield Library because not only do I come here all the time and I do a lot of festival work here, I get one of the booths and get one of the rooms, but they have been so supportive. From the staff, the administration, everyone has been supportive here and I just love this room. So give it up for the Southfield Library. As a matter of fact, I love it so much that during the festival time, there are RVs parked out here. We set up shop, you hear me? We call it Horn Circle. But we live right here on the property, and every morning when I woke up, Southfield is such a beautiful space. And some of the things that are happening here in Southfield, like all of the restaurants, all of the choices to go to now, the walks that you can take. I mean, it truly, truly is amazing. And as a Lathrop Village resident, I mean, we do a lot of working together, and I want to continue for Lathrop and Southfield to work together because we're neighbors. We really are.
Kimmy Horn is one of our area performers who the library has had back a number of times. And as you watch this clip, you can see that she is a real crowd pleaser.
Sweet as the morning light. You know how to love me. You know how to make it right. You know how to love me.
You know how to love me. I know how to love
as the morning
you
know how to love me.
What you gonna do when I come for you?
You know how to
bad boy, bad boy. What you gonna do? Come on.
You know how to love me. Sweet as the morning light. You know how to love me. You know how to make it right. You know how to love me. Sweet as the morning light.
Now face the audience.
You know how to love
face
me.
The audience. Face the audience.
You know how to
now
make
do what
it
you do.
right.
Hey, now do what you do.
You know how to
now
love
do what
me.
you do. Ow! Cut loose.
You
cut
know
loose.
how to
cut
make
loose.
it
Everybody
right.
freeze. Everybody freeze. Everybody freeze. Everybody freeze. 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 Woo!
You know how to love me.
You know how.
You know how to
Come on,
make
give it up for my dancer.
right. You know how to
I'm gonna look for you at the festival. What you over here doing?
At the morning
Let me see. Let me
light.
see. Go. 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 Go.
Go.
Jazz and Blues at the Library is a regular music series that is produced by Don McGee in conjunction with the Friends of the Library. Don gives us an update here.
We started this series in May of 2005, and I was fortunate enough to book some of Detroit's great jazz and blues musicians who unfortunately are no longer with us. The Queen of the Blues, the original Queen of Detroit Blues, Alberta Adams, Johnny Bassett, who's gone, Uncle Jesse White, who is really the godfather of the blues in Detroit, Duke Dawson, lots of other jazz people that I can't even think of, but we've had a chance to bring them to the series, to our audience, and sometimes cable recorded them as well. Some of the people we've had in some of the earlier programs of jazz and blues at the library, a guy named Charlie Gabriel. He was a sax player, originally out of New Orleans, came from like 3 generations going back like 150 years. So he brought that New Orleans sound to the library. Kimmy Horn has been here a couple of times. Thornetta Davis has been here a couple of times. And while we've had some of those older folks who are no longer with us, we try to keep up with the current jazz people as well. And Shahida Nurullah, I think is her name, a jazz artist. And so we've had just about everybody. And coming up in October is the Sky Island Band. They're kind of unique. They play a lot of original songs, they play a lot of original tunes. They play jazz, I guess you could call it smooth jazz, but they're more than that. They sort of put a jazz look at a lot of different other kinds of music as well. Really tight band. We're looking really forward to them. Then in November 20th, one of the biggest groups we've had, not in size, but in terms of influence and musicality, Alvin Waddell's Trio. Alvin does an incredible amount of things. He's a music director for a big church in Southfield and for another African-American church in Detroit. He brings gospel, he brings jazz, he brings blues, he plays piano, and he's a vocalist. Very, very exciting band. December 11th, as a matter of fact, I just booked another jazz act. Sandra Bomar, and the band is called A Work in Progress. She has a velvety voice. She's played in every jazz club in the Detroit area, as well as Chicago, Boston, Toronto, and other places. So December 11th, great jazz as well. I think one of the most appealing things about the Jazz and Blues at the Library series is that it's informal and homey, and There's no bad seat, for one thing. You can always be really close, and the artists, every band that we've ever had there feels very comfortable in interacting with the audience. We give the audience a chance to ask questions so they can learn a little bit more about the artists and musicians and their take in music. Another cool thing is it doesn't cost too much. It's $5 as a normal admission. If you're a member of the Friends of the Library, it's $3. And then a couple of them, the really big acts that have a huge following, we know that the auditorium is going to fill up, so we sell tickets ahead of time. That's Alvin Waddles coming up in November. That's a ticketed event. Tickets will go on sale in mid-August. They're available on a website as well as at the library. If you want to buy tickets online, just go to our Facebook page, Jazz and Blues at the Library, and you'll find information about how to get tickets as well as a listing of everything we've had scheduled.
The Discovery Area is a new playscape here at the Southfield Library. The idea is that part of literacy is learning how to play together and discover things together. The kids have that opportunity to share and work on projects here. Librarian Michelle Bernard tells us more.
They have a kitchen area, which also doubles as a marketplace. They have puzzles, they have a light table, they have a dollhouse, and they have a great time together. We see so many kids over there who don't know each other, serving each other dinner, coming up with recipes. Sometimes it involves puzzle pieces in the recipes. They ask their parents what they would like to eat.
Part of what's involved in early literacy is talking, singing, writing, reading, being read to, and playing.
And a part of playing is learning how things go in a sequence, which comes back to literacy. When you understand that stories have a way of beginning, a middle, and an end, there's a sequence there. And when children play games together, they see a sequence happen. When they work together on a project, they have a sequence. Sometimes they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Sometimes the end just goes on forever, though. So before the space was empty, we had our reference collection there. We had 3 large bookcases full of reference books that we were no longer using. They were very dusty and dirty. I was able to reduce it to just, I think, 9 bookshelves that we have on the back of the reference desk here on the other side, including some encyclopedias and other things that we consider essential. But other than that, most of the collection was not being used. It was sitting there, and I wanted to put in a space that children could use every day. Another really wonderful thing about that space is that the parents are involved. The parents are not sitting with their backs to the children. They're actually watching the children play and oftentimes interacting with them and discussing what's going on.
Well, since we opened it this past spring, it's been incredibly popular. There's always a few kids playing around. We've had restaurants open up. A lot of fun has happened with the houses. The light-up table has been really exciting for the kids, so it's been really fun to listen to the kids and the parents play and interact together. I think it's really helpful, especially if we have parents that need to use the computers. They can kind of set up here, and then the kids have something to do while the parents are working. But I've also heard a lot of families playing together, which is really great.
The parents have been really great. They come up, they say thank you, we enjoy it so much. Sometimes I've seen parents sitting with the puzzles like the hexacus, and the parents have it all laid out, and they're telling their kids, now we have to balance it this way, and they're building and building it, and the kids are watching. But more often than not, the kids are doing it themselves. And it's just so much fun to see them. We have a lot of adults who go to the computer lab to use it, and as they walk past the space, I see them smiling at the kids and watching the kids, enjoying the activity that's going on. It's a much more active space than just sitting on the computers, which is a lot of what we've had in the past. So we have the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, which is free to families of the city of Southfield. And parents just come to the first floor reference desk and sign their kids up. Essentially what they do is they read to their children, and as they read to their children, they fill out these cute forms that we have. Every time they read a book, they mark off a circle. If they read the same book 14 times, they mark off 14 circles. Just keep on reading. Kids love repetition. So that's what they do. This is the side where they mark off the page, and this is the side with a little picture.
Studies show that by the time they are 4 years old, children from lower income families hear 30 million fewer words than children from higher income families. That's why this program is important. It doesn't matter if they're hearing the same words over and over. They still benefit from the interaction with their grown-ups and hearing the language, which can have long-term effects on the rest of their lives.
So each time they read 100 books, they bring in their form, and we give them an incentive, which is board books for their children. And board books are terrific, just like what we have in our collection. They're a little bit more resilient for little fingers to turn the pages. Kids can read them on their own, and we know they're not reading all the words on the page, but they're enjoying the pictures. And they're looking at how the pictures change as they turn the pages, and the story develops as they move through this book. There are so many wonderful picture books and board books that we have in this collection. I hope parents will come and look at them and check out a bunch. As the children read, they reach milestones. We have them marked off by the hundreds on the windows here. You can see some children have read 500-600 books with their parents, and we go all the way up to 1,000 on the other side. The kids who read 1,000, they have a balloon on the window, and we have a small little prize for them as well.
Before we close, we want to encourage you to drop by the library and take a look at the new whale sculpture. This 1,100-pound sculpture and fountain was in a courtyard at Northland Mall until 2015 when the mall closed. The sculpture was placed in front of the library through the efforts of the Southfield Public Arts Commission. The restored and reconfigured library fountain features new lighting and landscaping with the sculpture as the centerpiece, and it sprays water. Well, that's it for this edition of More Than Books. Please feel free to visit us here at the Southfield Public Library, get a library card, and explore all the world has to offer you. You can find out more information about our programs at www.southfieldlibrary.org.